Hi there, it is Thursday, so it is the real life edition of Facebook Live, and I am coming to you from my beautiful room with my tree. You know what, I know everybody's struggling a little bit to feel like it's Christmas and it's a holiday season, so anything that we can do to kind of add that feeling. Not only does it make me feel good, but it makes me feel more giving, more caring, although, of course, we should feel that way all year around. But tonight's topic is something I've actually kind of talked about multiple times over the last couple of months. But the more that I hear, not only my clients, but my friends, and just even people everywhere, people are really struggling with loving themselves or learning to love themselves and being happy. And I know that this can be a difficult time of year, especially if you're feeling like you're missing some things in your life. I've got a really beautiful, great friend who is really missing a loved one that died several years ago. And I know that multiple people are having those kind of feelings. I have some really great friends who are single, and I know that they're feeling like, they wish they had somebody in their life to share this time with. So, it is difficult, and it's a topic that's tough to talk about because everybody's so different in how they approach life. But I know that if you are human, you are struggling in one way or another, no matter what your difficulties and your obstacles are. And I do these Thursday night lives in order to show people that I'm real and that it's not just a pretty happy face showing up on social media every day. We all struggle, and I struggle just the same as everybody else. I'm just not gonna lie. Life is tough. We're put here to learn. We're put here for a reason. And so we're gonna start a little bit with, I like to start with my confessions and talk about how I play a role in this topic. And for those of you that know me, some of this won't be a surprise, some of it might. But I'm a perfectionist. Those of you that know me know that, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it times a million. I'm going to put everything into it. And so I do struggle, and I do beat myself up on a regular basis when I feel like I don't get it right, or if I'm not 100% on. We all do that to some extent, but I find it sometimes very, very difficult to love myself. I have to watch what I say to myself. I have to watch my language, my words. And part of it is, what I say on the outside, and some of it's just what goes on in my head. So again, I'm not immune to some of the difficulties that we all feel, where, we just struggle with everything that's going on in our lives and feel like we have to be perfect because, guys, we're human and that doesn't exist. So again, for those of you just joining me, I see a lot of people popping on. Hi, Sean. We're talking about learning to love yourself, and some of you might think that's silly. That's fine. You can go somewhere else and listen to somebody else and keep playing and scrolling through on Facebook, or you can listen because you might relate to something and you might hear something that might affect you in a positive way tonight. So I never do anything without doing some research and really putting down my thoughts so that I can make sure that I hit everything that I feel is important. A few weeks ago, it's been about 2 months, I did an evening on that hating yourself is just not okay. And that was a very emotional topic for me because I struggle with that. I don't think that God put us here to be unhappy or to hate ourselves. A couple weeks ago, I had a really wonderful special guest, Nayeli, who talked about at a point in her life where she actually tried to commit suicide. And I love people so much, just in general, that I don't ever want people to go through that. I love people. I care. Even if I don't know you, I really do care. I think that some people find that that's ridiculous, but think what you want. I really, at this point in my life, learned to not really care what other people think to an extent. But I think it's important that, we all feel important at some degree or some level. And that's what I'm trying to do is to remind you that, you're here for a purpose and a reason. And so there is somebody here that cares about you. Now, because I'm in health and fitness, and I've done this long enough to know that, you can do everything right physically and go to the gym and eat correct and do all those things that can fix you physically or change you physically. But if you can't get your head straight, if you can't get the emotional and mental part right and work on that part of your health, you're not going to get where you want to go. Those two are so intertwined that it's necessary because most of us know the physical part really is the easy part. It's the mental and emotional part that's a little more difficult. Okay, my daughter, yes. My daughter's knocking on my door, even though they all know what I'm doing right now, which drives me crazy. There's a reason it's locked. At this point, granted, like I said, I'm old enough to really not care a lot about what other people think. Part of that is life experience and realizing that what they think actually plays no part in what I choose to do anyway, nor does it affect it to really any significant degree. And sometimes their opinion actually helps make me do better at what I'm trying to do than I originally would, because I really have a great attitude of, okay, great, tell me I can't do it, and then watch me prove you wrong. And I like that does kind of burn in me quite a bit. Over the last few years, I've had some people really let me down. People that I really believed in, really had faith in, felt that they had my best interest at heart, and come to find out that that's not true. And of course, whenever you're working with someone who is a mentor or something to that degree, you really feel like they should have your best interest at heart. So, it's been an interesting struggle the last few years to figure some things out. And I'm the first to tell you that, like I said, not only do I not always love myself, I don't always feel pretty. I don't always feel like I know enough in my field to be considered an expert, but I don't think anybody knows everything. So I have to remember that that's how it rolls. But I want to talk a little bit about empowerment and how loving yourself can bring about not only the ability to the acceptance of yourself, but then being able to love and help others attain the same level. So again, some of you may not care about this. I see a lot of people that I've never met or don't know popping on. Welcome. And if this is not something that you care about, like I said, feel free to move on. It's totally okay. But if you struggle with your self-image, if you struggle with self-worth, or if you really struggle to love yourself, then you need to be here and we need to talk. Because part of this is that sometimes we just don't feel worthy. And of course, as a mother, and of course, I play a lot of roles, as most mothers do. We wear a lot of hats. And I think one of the things that I've struggled with the most in my life is guilt. And for silly reasons, things like, I feel guilty that I don't do more for people, that I don't spend more time with my kids, that I'm not the perfect wife, that I don't do all these things perfectly. And again, we're human. It is not going to be, it's not going to happen. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, you have to realize that it's okay to not be perfect. There is such thing as good enough. Now, can we always work to do better or be a better person? Absolutely. But you can't beat yourself up for being where you are. First of all, progress is progress. And there are great things about all of us. And we have to remember that. I think it comes down to what we choose to tell ourselves on a regular basis. I studied psychology a little bit in college before I changed my major. And one of the things that they talked about was that self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's an absolute real thing. The more that you tell yourself you are something, the more that you choose to believe it. And that can go in a negative or in a positive fashion. Same thing with what we tell our children. If we tell them how wonderful and how great they are, they're going to believe it. It's unfortunate that usually they have some outside influences doing the same thing in a negative way, whether that's kids at school, bullies, that's a real travesty. But the more that we can do as parents to have them understand that they are amazing and wonderful and worth it, the better off they're going to be as they grow older. It's amazing to me how it just in general, we tear people down on a regular basis. And I think that those that are the most successful are the ones that are able to pick themselves back up and really tell themselves that that's not correct, that they are worth it and that they do deserve to be here. So, even just telling ourselves things such as, we are worth it, we are enough. I think social media has done a true disservice to most of us because, of course, now at our fingertips, we can actually see all these pretty people who do these amazing things and they're perfect. And that second of a spotlight that they got, proves that they're amazing. But we don't see what's going on in the background. And of course, even with filters and all of those and angles and learning to take the perfect selfie, which by the way, I suck at, you don't even know who they really are. And then we compare ourselves to that. So, somebody's creating an image of themselves that's not even real. And then we compare ourselves to that. How is that okay? It's just not. So one of the things that I find is, again, because I primarily work in health and fitness right now and wellness, and of course to me that means a lot of things. I feel that it's very holistic. Not just, again, about what we eat and what we do at the gym, but what we feed ourselves internally as well. One of the things that I thought about was that, no one is motivated to healthy behaviors by feeling shame or by feeling low, right? If we don't feel good about ourselves, we're not going to show up at the gym, and we're not going to, go out and get our hair done and our nails done and feel amazing about ourselves. That comes with self-confidence and self-love. The benefit is, once you do start to love yourself, that actually motivates you to take good care of yourself and to improve your health. So just something that, I work with a lot of people. Most of us at some point in our lives have been have broken up. We've lost somebody we love. We've been put in a position where we feel like, I don't know, we've been given up on, or maybe even when we feel like we need to exact some revenge, which of course is not a great idea, because that makes us a smaller person anyway. But, for those that are in that position and find a way to improve themselves, I like to tell people in that kind of space in their life that, the very best revenge is personal success. And the downside, to losing a loved one or a significant other, or, a breakup or a divorce, of course you're going to hurt. I mean, there's no way around that. But when you start to take better care of yourself and you find yourself again, there's an immense amount of self-confidence and even just learning about yourself that comes with that. And that requires some self-love. And I think, but isn't that incredible? I love the whole, you could have had this because this thing has become amazing. It's a pretty good motivator. This really isn't about being perfect. It's about being healthy. I watched this really great, this is my motivation this morning. This is what just made me decide to use this topic tonight. I watched a really great documentary this morning as I was getting ready for work. And it was called something about Straight and Curvy. And it was a documentary about how the fashion industry is finally expanding to the point where they are including different shapes and sizes of women, because the majority of the women that have to clothe themselves are not a size 2, 4, or 6. And so it was actually really amazing and empowering. And it followed this photographer and her journey of doing this project on taking amazing high-end pictures of absolutely beautiful women that were different colors, different heights, different sizes, and really what it did for the world of fashion, because it is actually changing the fashion industry, even within the schools, to actually produce beautiful, fashionable wear for women of all sizes, all shapes and sizes. Because again, at some point, being different, being a different size, or not like this standard tiny little person, has become bad. It somehow, we've put that verbiage upon ourselves that we're unworthy, we're not good people, and it's ridiculous. God didn't put us all down here and said, poof, everybody who's great is a size 2. It doesn't work that way. So again, every woman is beautiful. And of course, I'm not just talking about women, but because I am one and I primarily work with women, and I think more than anything, we as women, we do struggle a little more than men. Men, tell me if I'm wrong. But we do. We struggle with self-image, because that is primarily what's portrayed is, these tiny little young things that don't have a care in the world and have never had babies before. So it was a pretty amazing documentary. If you get a chance to watch it, I really enjoyed it, and it made me feel good about myself. Not only that, but everybody's so different, and that's what makes us amazing. It's what makes the world go round. There is no one exactly like you. And personally, I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to. I actually had a positive affirmation pinned up on my wall for a very long time that said, "You are not average. You are amazing." Because I'm not average, nor do I really want to be. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be my best version of myself, and that's what it should be. We need to compare ourselves against ourselves and work to be a better person in that way, right? But be okay with who you are. You have to start somewhere. Most of us, And again, I know that I'm a person who really focuses on health in general, and I do talk a lot about becoming a healthier body physically, but I'm not trying to change who you are, and I'm not trying to say that it's not okay to love yourself where you're at, because you should. Not only that, if you love yourself where you are, you're going to become a better person in every fashion. It's kind of the whole, when someone's first in love and they're glowing and they're amazing, and it really doesn't honestly matter what size they are, but all of a sudden that confidence and that love and that just, it radiates from them. We can be that way at any time. Confidence is sexy. I'm sorry. It just is. Now, arrogance, not a fan. I think that if you're very full of yourself and selfish, even with celebrities, I find that those that are really kind of stuck up are just not as appealing, not as attractive. There's certain celebrities I don't even follow anymore because I find that their attitude really just kind of sucks. I wouldn't have them as a friend, so why would I want to support and be part of their lives in any other way? I find that confidence really is where it's at, and it doesn't matter what size you are to be confident. And honestly, I have seen some full size, plus size women that are so confident in themselves that they know that they are what they are. They are sexy, they're happy, and I've also known some absolutely beautiful, in shape people who absolutely don't love themselves. And that portrays something completely different. Think about it. Do you really want to be around unhappy, negative, they tell themselves they're victims? Or would you rather be around someone who feels not only great about themselves, but they lift you up as well? Those are the people that we want to be around. They say that you become like the 5 closest people to you. So look around in your life and who's positive? Aren't you drawn to them? That's one of the great things about loving yourself and self-love, is that you become a magnet for great people. So I made kind of a short list. Well, actually, let me tell you, I found a ton of information online. There were several websites that were really great. One is belief.net. Another is, I have to look because I can't remember, Mind Body Green. I've actually found multiple things on their website that are really great on more than one occasion. There was just a lot of great reasons why you should learn to love yourself. And then we'll talk about things that you need to do in order to get to that point, no matter where you're at. Reasons that you should love yourself. Life actually becomes a lot easier when you work with what you have. If you stop looking at all the negatives and all the weaknesses, I'm not saying that you shouldn't work on those ever, but why not play on your strengths? Everybody has skills, everybody has talents, and they're going to be different. And that's why I get really frustrated when people compare themselves to other people. So-and-so might be amazing at this, but she has a talent that I don't have, but I have all these great talents that she doesn't have, and that's okay. You are who you are. Play on that. Play on those strengths. You attract others to love you too. We just kind of talked about that. When you love yourself, you draw other people in. I think it's very interesting how people who really struggle with their self-worth think that it requires somebody else. They need a boyfriend, a wife, a significant other, or whatever, in order to feel love in their life. But you have to love you first. It's very difficult for someone else to love you if you don't love you, right? So that's very important. I read that because your weaknesses are disguised as a journey ready for you to explore. That's interesting. So that's even taking, your weaknesses, something that might be negative, and putting a positive spin on it, that, find out why you're not so good at something. And maybe that's something that you want to change, and maybe you don't. I'm not good at tech. I'm just not. I'm not good with computers. I'm not good with I'm definitely not good with programming. But even with just, I get a new phone or a new gadget, and the first thing I do is I take out the manual and I hand it to my son, who is better at this kind of thing. I'm like, read it and tell me how to use it. Because not only do I not get how to do that, I don't care. Like, I don't want to have to read that. I just want you to tell me how to get through to what I need. Because that's not something that I choose to want to become proficient at. But I do know that there are things that I want to change, and I do work with that. But that's my choice, which is awesome, right? Life is a journey. It's an adventure, and you get to decide where you're going to go with that. That's the best part. Once you accept who you are, you can focus your energy on helping and motivating other people. And that's kind of where I'm at this point in my life. You know, I'm really, like I said, I have my moments, but I'm really okay with who I am and what I'm doing and where I'm going. I love my job. I love people. And so now I get to take some of that energy and I get to help other people. And I love that because not only is that amazing, but it makes me feel even better about myself on a regular basis. One of the most important reasons to love yourself is that it allows you to let go of expectations that other people have of you. Who cares? You know, and I know that can be a difficult one, especially if it's somebody significant in your life, like a parent or your significant other. But, you know, you are who you are, and you should become who you want to be. Your job on earth is not to become like everybody else. Who wants that? I don't want to be like that. When you love yourself, you don't have to worry about what everybody else thinks about that. You know, they say that opinions are like holes. Everybody has one. Seriously, you know, everybody has an opinion. That doesn't mean it's right. Your opinion is the most important opinion about yourself. That's how that rolls. So a few others. Oh, hercampus.com was the other website that I found a lot of great ideas. Self-love can actually help you look and feel younger. Again, we talked about that glow of when people, you know, first are in love and feel good about themselves. Who doesn't want to look a little bit younger? Okay, now my daughters who are teenagers don't want to look any younger, but I keep reminding them that someday they'll appreciate that they look younger than they are, because at 42, I love that fact. When I tell people my age and how many kids I have, and their jaws drop. So yeah, why not? Why not look and feel younger? That's awesome. Other things to think about when it comes to learning to love yourself is that, number one, you know, you are important. Everybody's important. You know, there's a lot that's gone around recently, especially about suicide awareness and prevention, and that if everybody understood how important they are, even to themselves, yes, but there is someone in their life that feels that they are important. God feels you're important. Again, you're put here for a reason. You're put here to be happy and to help other people. So you need to know that you're important. Everybody has passion. You have a passion about something, you know, whether it doesn't even matter what it is. Some people like motorcycles. Some people like to sew. Some people like Pinterest and baking this time of year. Yeah, that's why I bake and I give it away. I do. I don't know what it is. I could spend hours on Pinterest and then I make fun stuff and try not to eat it. We all have passions. And of course, without all those different passions, you know, I struggle sometimes when I see those commercials on TV about, you know, the tortured animals and that are neglected. But you know what, and I love animals, don't get me wrong, but I'm glad that there are people out there that feel so strongly about the situation that they're willing to go out and ask for money and help provide for these animals, because somebody has to do it. So everybody has a passion, and without you, things wouldn't get taken care of in this world, right? You definitely deserve to be happy. Everybody does. I don't care who you are and how low you feel, there is someone somewhere that does care about you and love you. We do all have bad days. You know, I'm not gonna lie. There are times in my life where I let something so little and so stupid just completely ruin my day. I've gotten better at not doing that, or it's just brief at the moment kind of thing. But we do. But who wants to have a bad day? Like, who wants to have a bad day? I think sometimes people perpetually have bad days because they're looking for it. But back to that self-fulfilling prophecies, if you believe you're going to have a bad day, you probably are going to have a bad day. Now you realize that you are the only one that can control really what goes on in your head. You hear stories of, you know, people who were prisoners of war. Some were broken. Some did stuff, they stayed in their head somewhere, happy things in their life, and they came out of it not necessarily unscathed, but they were able to control their thoughts. They didn't allow what was happening around them to control who they were or how they felt. We all have bad days, guys. That can't be helped. It's not what happens to you, it's how you choose to respond to it. Again, you're unique. We're all unique. You are worth more than other people's opinions. Again, everybody has an opinion. That doesn't mean it's right. I really truly believe that at this point in our nation that we're really struggling to come together as a nation because everybody feels like their opinion is more important than anyone else's. And while it is an important part of, you know, running a free nation to have an opinion, it shouldn't overcome our ability to come together as a country, we're really leaving ourselves vulnerable to other countries that would like us to not be successful. So that scares me a little bit, that we're so focused on, oh, well, you suck because I don't like your opinion. And that's more important than, hey, you know what? We need to protect ourselves at this point, and keep our country a free country. Nothing is worth your own self-destruction. Nothing is. And unfortunately, that's a choice. When we choose to choose unhealthy habits, smoking, excessive drinking, and I can name a ton of things, put truly unhealthy foods in our body, not get enough rest, not deal with stress in a healthy way. There's so much that we allow to happen, and that's our choice. It's our choice, but you can't be not only successful, but you can't get anything accomplished when you're allowing those things to bring you down. And again, there's so much more that you could accomplish if you do take care of yourself. I work with so many moms who are so wrapped up in working with their kids and being part of their kids' lives to the point where they forget themselves. And they forget that if mom's not happy, how is anybody else happy? It's that whole idea of, when you first get on a plane and you sit down and they run through the safety suggestions that they say, when that face mask pops down from the ceiling, put it on you first, because you cannot help those around you if you are dead. Same thing, you cannot help or buoy up or help other people around you if you don't feel good yourself. A very incredible woman named Jan Harris, and I don't even care if you tell her because she is amazing. I knew her from years ago when I did Mary Kay. She was my national sales director. And one of the things I still remember her talking about in one of the talks she said was, as a woman, she had gotten to the point where she felt like an old rusty bucket that was empty. And she had to find a way and learn how to stop and take time to make that bucket nice and shiny and full again. Sometimes we give and we give and we give and we forget to refuel ourselves. I know, like I said, as mothers, we do that all the time. We give so much to other people and we forget that if we run empty, we have nothing left to give. So it is important not only to love ourselves, but love ourselves enough to take time for ourselves. And I'm getting better at it. I really am. I love helping other people, but I do stop and take some time for myself at this point. It's taken years to get to that point, but I do that as well. One of the things that I want you to think about tonight is that in order to be happy, you have to want to be happy. I do feel like sometimes people would rather feel sad and miserable. They want to perpetuate that, which really honestly makes no sense, because I don't know anybody who truly wants to be unhappy their entire lives. But I've seen it, whether it's because they just choose to make that their focus. We can't control other people. We can't change your head. You have to want it. You have to want to be happy. A while ago, I had somebody, when I was talking about not hating yourself, I had somebody post on my little thing that she's like, this and this and this and this and this and this. So how could I not hate myself? And I'm like, well, that's still your choice. Yeah, those are not necessarily things that you can control in your life, but you can control how you choose to respond to it or how you choose to deal with it. And if you're so low, honestly, my plea to you, if you are so low at this point that you can't dig yourself out of that hole, and again, I know how that hole feels. I've been many times at a point in my life where I literally want to dig a hole, crawl in it, and cry. I haven't said that to many people, but I have been in that position multiple times. You have to want to get out of the hole. You have to want it. Nobody can pull you out of it. You actually have to have that desire. Can you ask for help? Absolutely. And again, if you are at that point, please do ask for help. There are people out there that want to help you. Okay, so ways that you can get yourself out of that position, ways that you can start loving yourself again, ways that you, again, fix your head. You can't fix your body to fix your head. You have to fix your head to fix your body. Ways that you can do that. Number one, if you really have some negative self-talk going on, you're going to have to retrain yourself. And part of that is using positive affirmations and maybe even a mission statement. Where is it that you want to go in this life? What is your life's purpose? Because if you don't know, you're not going to have a path to follow. So positive affirmations are fairly simple in how you create them. The hardest part is you have to actually use them. A positive affirmation is something that you say about yourself, usually written down, but you do have to repeat it out loud. I like to do Post-it notes and I stick them on my bathroom mirror. And every morning when I'm in the bathroom all by myself, I will say them out loud. Now, the 3 rules are that they have to be positive, they have to be personal, they can't be about somebody else, they have to be about you. You can't change somebody else with that. And they have to be present tense. So talking about something about I am currently this and this and this, and it has to be positive. You might have to use that for a while. You might not believe it at first, but your subconscious does not know the difference between real and make-believe. So the more that you tell yourself that, the more you start to believe it, and the more your body, your subconscious finds a way to get you there. It's kind of part of, I have a good friend that's been talking a lot about the law of attraction, which I absolutely believe is a thing. The more that you believe something into your life, the more likely it is to come to you. It's actually a pretty amazing practice. We talked about finding your why, because honestly, if you know your why and you are so emotionally attached to that why you're doing it, why do you want to feel healthier? Why do you want to help other people? Why do you want to do this goal over here? Because your why, if it's big enough, the obstacles don't matter, right? List your positives. If you really are struggling to love yourself and believe in yourself, you might need to sit down and take stock of really what is positive. What are some things that you do have going for you? It's a good start, and you should be adding to that list as you think about it. But everybody has skills and talents, and nobody ever has the same combination. Again, that's what's fascinating to me. But start there. You know, it can be as little as, you know what, I get up and I make my kids breakfast in the morning. I know parents who don't do that. So write those things down so that you can look at it. You might also need to start a blessings journal or a grateful journal, things that you're grateful for. And it might start out small, but you know, even now, and I'm in really, really great health, there are a lot of times that I'm grateful that, you know, I've seen something happen. I could be in a worse position. I could be sick. I could be... there's a lot of things that could happen in my life. I'm happy, I'm free, I wake up every morning, I can see with my eyes, I can walk with my 2 feet, I can move my hands, I can help other people, I can talk on the phone, I can hear what they say when I talk on the phone. Those might not seem like big things, but to someone who can't hear out of both ears or who has, you know, lost their ability to speak, those are pretty big things, right? So be grateful for the things that you do have. Stop using phrases like, I'm bad. My clients now know that as soon as they say something like that, they're going to hear from me, whether it's by phone or text, or whether I'm kind of grabbing their hand and doing the fake little shame on you, repeat, find something different to say. Because if you, again, back to self-fulfilling prophecy, if you really keep telling yourself that, you'll start to believe it, and that's not okay. Love yourself on the bad days too, right? It's hard. Trust me, it's hard. I beat myself up on some days because even over silly stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, this evening I had a meltdown just because I purchased a dress for something that now I thought simple tailoring, not a big deal. And it's gonna take much more tailoring than I originally anticipated, mostly because I have way bigger muscles than most girls. And I really had a moment. I just had it's not even that big of a deal. It can be fixed, but I had a moment this evening. So love yourself even on the days that you don't feel incredible. Practice becoming your own best friend. Why not? Again, I have heard people say things about themselves that they would never tell their children. They wouldn't tell their best friend because they're incredibly negative. You have to learn to be your own best friend because you are the one that will always be there with you. And I thought that that was actually a great skill and a great thing to think about. Learn to please yourself. Learn to make yourself happy and not others. Especially people that don't live with you. Like, who the hell cares what they think? I get it. I am a people pleaser. I want to make people happy. But I draw the line at making myself unhappy to make them happy. And again, I to some extent, I don't care what they think about me. Because again, everybody has an opinion and it's not always a good one. Resiliency is a learned skill. Bouncing back is a learned skill. It really is. You know, we're all going to fall down. It's not how many times you fall down. It's how many times you get back up. And for me, it's how quickly can I get back up, right? I've had some times where it's taken me a week or two to get through some things. And in that time, you know, I was not efficient at some things I really was trying to accomplish. And so that put me back 2 weeks on a goal that I might have. And it's a little bit of frustration. So the one thing, one of my skills and one of my benefits is that throughout everything I've done in my life, I've really learned to bounce back quickly. When I get knocked down, when I'm frustrated, when I have an obstacle that really kind of knocks me out of commission for a bit, I'm really great at jumping back in and getting through it and either finding another way or being okay moving on past that. So that's not something that everybody has naturally. And it's okay that you might have to figure out a way to make that part of your skill set. So a couple of things to close with that I just want to talk about. You know, again, I work with so many women who are really unhappy with their bodies and where they're at. That is not a good reason to hate yourself. It really isn't. Because if you don't become okay with who you are, who says that when you get to your goal that you're going to be okay with it then? There's a lot of changing that has to do in your head as well as physically in order to get to that point. So just remember, it's okay to not like where you're at or not love your body at the moment, but you at least have to respect it. Your body works so hard for you. You know, you're given one. It's the one thing you're given in life that is truly perishable. It will not last forever. And the better that you treat it, the more respect that you give it, the more the happier that your life is going to be, and the longer that your body's going to last in a healthy way. All of us want a good quality of life. That part's really, for the most part, up to you. Learn to love who you are, not plus or minus the skills that you have. Those are benefits, and I know we talked about that you might have to write that down as part of the reasons to love yourself, but don't not love yourself because you don't have a certain skill. You know, those are things that you can work on. You can improve your skills, you can work with your talents, but what you need to really have is a great heart. So I find that that's important because we do all have things that we can work on. But that doesn't make us unlovable. So hopefully, you know, it's a hard one. You know, again, I know that as humans, we're flawed. That's just how we come, because if we weren't, how could we learn? You can't learn if you know everything. So nobody needs to be perfect. You have to be good enough for the moment, good enough for that, and then work on the next level. So whether or not I know you, I do love you. I want you to be happy. That's why we're here. We're all here to help each other. So have an incredible evening. If I don't get to talk to you before then, have an incredible Christmas, a Merry Christmas. And really, for this season, please give to other people. Be kind, be happy, do things that make other people feel good. Because not only is that going to make somebody else's life a better for the moment, but it's actually going to create a better life for you because you will feel good about what you've done for someone else. So have an incredible evening. Next week, I do have an awesome guest, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. She is amazing. You will love her. We're going to talk a little bit about some eating disorders and how to get through that. So, you know, I like to tackle some of those issues because not everybody knows. There's a lot of people with some issues and some demons that nobody else knows about. And we want people to know that they're okay and that there are other people that have been through it and that you're not alone. So until next week, guys, have a good one.